Welcome everyone to the Fourcast with myself, Wilks, HRap, B, and Dawk. On tonight's show, we will be reviewing this call. You can see it behind me. There will be spoilers, okay? So this is get it all out there. If you ain't seen it, I'm sorry.
As always.
You know what it is. But welcome to the co-host, Wilks. How you doing tonight?
Pretty good. How's it going?
Good. Dawk, how you doing?
Fantastic, man. Watching these Baylor Bears bring this championship back to Texas. If I didn't just jinx it, like right there.
So I think I have a miraculous comeback.
It ain't over. Matter of fact, Gonzaga just got a dunk.
So we'll keep you guys posted on that. We got that on in the background.
Gorgonzola cheese.
Huh?
I said Gorgonzola cheese going to win the championship tonight.
Also, HRap, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. Just woke up.
What's wrong with that?
Wow.
Hey, that's a good, man. Hey, those naps, man. Those naps come in handy.
Yeah, at a certain age.
I used to rag on you. When you were a kid, you rag on naps. Like, I don't want to take a nap. When you get old,
them naps energize you.
Yeah, you get that power nap in. So tonight, as you can see, we all have on the Fourcast shirts. Big shout out to our man Dawk. I gotta lift up a little bit so y'all can see mine,
and it's really black, y'all. It is really black. I know it.
He's already washed it 3 times.
It looked like I done washed it and hung it outside to dry, and then put it on. But before we get into the show, we got to talk about a person, DMX. This past weekend, the being reported that he overdosed and that resulted into a heart attack. DMX is one of those guys that, man, I was telling my wife that they were doing music on 94.5 here in Dallas. I was just like, man, this was real rap. This was the area of real rap. Right now, it's not real rap. Okay, I'm just gonna keep it 100 for myself. I don't know about everybody else, but DMX, man, just brought that type of thunder. Also, man, he could pray. He knows the Bible, so it's not as if this. But I think he's been battling stuff internally for a while. But I just wanted to us to kind of go around and continue prayers for him. I don't know the exact update on the status. I've been trying to look at stories and try to find out where he is, but continue prayers for him. Wilks, I'll go to you.
Yeah, real quick. They were saying that there was a prayer visual outside of the hospital that he was in about 5:00 Eastern time. So I saw somebody post a picture of him. I don't know if he can speak, but he was responsive and he was trying to hold up the peace sign. But DMX is a prolific rapper. I mean, when I listen to him, he brought in the Rough Rider era possibly and things like that. But I felt like, when he rapped, he felt like, to me, when I listened to him, I mean, it was always one of those things like you felt like you were in New York, like you were in that street corner, like you were on that corner he was talking about, or he was talking about those people that were shady or making that deal. Like he wrote or he painted that picture like that when he rapped with his words. But a big shout out to him. Hope he gets healthy, pull through, and keep him around as long as possible. Yeah.
I don't want a reunion album after he dies, and I want him to come out with that album.
I don't want unreleased music.
Right. But now the last thing I heard is that they said the family, they're telling the family to fly in. Normally that's not a good sign, but I haven't heard anything lately. I don't know if you guys heard anything. Dawk, I'll go to you.
Yeah, well, a couple of things on that. I had a cousin who had a very, very bad car accident about, I guess it's probably been about 4 months or so ago now. My timeline is a little off, obviously, with the workload I done had, so I'm a little off. But he was declared brain dead. He at home now, playing his PS5. Because he can't get out and about because he's still the immune system and he's not as strong and all that other kind of stuff. But he at the crib playing his, called me a few weeks ago. Hey, I appreciate the help on the PS5 and getting some games and stuff. Yeah. So, it can happen. It ain't their word.
Right.
It's the man upstairs' word at the end of the day, Now, in terms of DMX and his influence on me coming up, and even today. Okay, so I have my Alexa. You can set up routines. My routine in the morning is when, I shut the alarm off and say, Alexa, stop. Alexa, good morning. Oh, she going to say a few choice words to me to get me motivated mentally. Yeah. And then she going to play a DMX song. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And so it's going to get me in that right frame of mind. So DMX music, if you need to get the juice going, rock a couple of his little deals.
Right. Yeah. And I think about Slip and Falling. I don't know if that what the name of the song was, but Slipping or Falling, I Can't Get Up. That song, man, is a classic that I can listen to at any time. But yeah, you want a real alarm to get you up. You having a problem getting up in the morning? Put a DMX song on. Yeah. Spotify can connect to your alarm.
Yes.
Real. But HRap.
That's right in my wheelhouse, man. I'm a hip hop junkie. I was, it's always been my thing, man. Hip hop has always been my thing. It was like, a lot of us last night, we all love Earth, Wind, and Fire. We all love the Isley Brothers, but I always considered that our parents' music. And DMX is us. It's my age group. Me and DMX the same age. I'm like 4 months older.
Right.
So, he'll be 51 this year. I'll be 51. And it's just it's tough, man. I mean, I ain't saying, oh man, it's tough to see a guy who you knew was struggling with whatever. Go down like this. It's tough, man. I hope he pulls through. I hope he has the exact same response that Ivan's cousins has. Yeah. And I hope whatever demons that are haunting him, I hope they are no longer there, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, what's significant to me, I think this is my first time hearing the story about when he was 14 years old.
Yep.
And his mentor lacing that blunt with crack, man, and he was 30 at the time. So I have no reason not to take DMX at his word when he told that story, man. And it was a difficult story to tell, and when you get demons, folks who have demons, it don't always mean you the one invited those demons in.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes those demons were sent your way, and you just didn't, you weren't strong enough, cognizant enough of age, whatever, have the resources to be able to fight them, but and it shows you at the end of the day, if you take that story at face value, it's still with him 36 years later.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Man. And it ought to be a special kind of hell for folks like that. If that story is true, that 30-year-old, that dude, whoever that dude he referring to, it ought to be a special kind of hell for him, man.
Yeah, really. At 14 years old, you introduce somebody that wasn't he like he said in the story. I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't looking for it. I was I think he said he was studious and everything. And like that, from that point, it kind of, when you get that, addiction is a real thing. And when you get addicted to something, especially like that, like that's hard to kick. So, man,
real quick
up for DMX.
Real quick, speaking of that addiction, I don't know if anybody has been keeping up with the George Floyd trial, but we talk about this addiction, and we have people out here literally going around trying. Matter of fact, let me back up. We have a justice system, a defense that is literally trying to make it okay that he had these drugs in his system is what really was his cause of death. But come to find out, it's opioids that he's addicted to because of the pain injury or an injury he had from football accident. Saying, going from what his girlfriend is saying. But we want to make it okay that, well, he was going to die anyway because he had drugs in his system. When is that okay when a life is no longer that valuable anymore? I don't care if the man is on drug and coke, heroin in his system. I don't understand how we just make an excuse for somebody like that. And it's like, oh, well, he was going to die anyway. But yet I'm looking at these MMA trainers and I'm looking at these people that teach police officers saying that, when you put your, they call it a blood, I think they were saying like a blood cutout or somehow they pronounce, I don't know how they were wording that, but, or a blood choke is what they were saying. When you're deliberately putting your knee in a place that is cutting or slowing a pulse of a person, but then you hope that the coroner will say, well, he had drugs in the system. He's addicted to opiates. It's okay when the opioid epidemic, when that started, we got help for those people. But for George Floyd, it's like, oh, well, he had drugs in the system. Oh, well, he had a criminal record. So he can't get the same help. But yeah, we got DMX that, unfortunately, we have somebody out here at the age of 30 and DMX at 14 lacing drugs and getting this man hooked on drugs, dependent on drugs, trying to find that first high again. So it's one of those things where it's like, why is it that on one side it's okay, but on the other side it's not? I don't understand how that works out.
Double standards. DL Hughley has a show here in Dallas, 94.5, and he was talking about that opioid crisis. Now it's like, let's reach out and help. Before it was like lock people up and give them the maximum amount of time. But now it's like, let's figure out what's going on with people. So why didn't this cop have a conversation with George Floyd? Why was it just like immediately, let's go straight from 0 to 100 instead of saying, hey, what happened? Did you, is this something that you gave? Did you give him this fake $20 bill or what? I mean, to me, it just goes back to, it's just
by the way,
pure
Ben,
evilness from the heart. Yeah.
By the way, Ben, the $20 bill we found out that it was real.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like when we go back to American Skin from last week.
Right.
They weren't speeding, and his insurance card was valid.
Right.
So that is the exact same thing we just talked about, and now we are seeing it on a grand scale. And it does not. I agree with you, Wilks. I mean, it's double standards that we've seen for forever, and now you got guys in jail for selling dime bags.
And I'm going to say this. I hope I'm wrong, but we all know this police officer is getting off. Let's just be honest. Let me just be honest and put that out.
Hey, I'll send y'all. I'm about to send y'all a text to back up exactly what Wilks said, and it's from our favorite sportscaster, Jason Whitlock. He put out
somebody's favorite.
Right. Yeah, he's somebody's favorite. He keeps getting the job.
Right.
He put out a poll on Twitter. 60% of the people said George died from drugs.
Come on.
Come on, man.
I thought I sent it to y'all, but
Please do.
I'm gonna tell you why it doesn't. I can't think it was Wilks who asked the question. Why does it make it okay to kill somebody just because they have some other illness or whatever the case may be? Right. I'm gonna prove to you the reason why it's not. Just in, you remember Dr. Kevorkian?
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
The assisted suicide or whatever when they wanted to die, and it still was wrong. Right. So it's got to be wrong when somebody don't want to die, regardless of what they have wrong with them.
Right.
It's open and shut, but it's what it is. It's called an objection of convenience. When it's convenient, I got an objection to it.
Yeah.
So it's as simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah. And with this situation, clearly the guy's handcuffed. When you're handcuffed and somebody's on your neck, what exactly do you think he's gonna do? Do you think he's the Hulk and he's just gonna? You think he's got superpowers and he's just gonna like move everybody off of him? Like it's logically it makes no sense. But it just goes back to the hatred that some people have. That's the underlining thing we're talking about here. Right. Is the hatred that some people have for other people. That's it.
Oh my bad. It wasn't 60% on the Jason Whitlock pool. It was 66.
Oh. Sorry.
Close to the 70.
Close enough.
Let me give a couple shout outs. Vince Wright, I can say that name. Taryn Rodriguez, thank you for coming through as well. We got into a couple of topics here that I thought was important. Specifically, we talked about DMX, and then also George Floyd kind of got brought up. Also, I want to say this is for me personally. My grandmother's birthday would have been today. She passed away. This was, I don't know the exact years, but I think it was 3 years ago. But man, she instilled so much in me, gave me so much encouragement and everything throughout my life. So I just wanted to to give a shout out to her and pay homage.
Yeah, happy birthday, grandmother.
Happy
big
birthday.
Mama.
Hey,
what you call her? Big Mama? You call her
what deal?
Grandmama.
Grandma.
Yeah.
G-Ma.
These Cali boys call her grandma.
Hey, that's what it is. Just Joe. Thanks for coming
Hey, while you saying that, Ben, I hate to do. I always feel bad, even though I know you don't mind. Hey, man, I need everybody to tune in tomorrow. Speaking of your grandmother, I got a guy from Tennessee. He's one of our elders. He's gonna walk us through his life. And he's a community activist. He's a truth teller. He puts the history of the world and our community out in front of the world. He's going to be a reoccurring guest. Please tune in tomorrow, man. I think this is going to be awesome.
What time?
5 p.m. Anytime you see me on ass, 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
5 Eastern in the morning, but it's my show.
That's 5 p.m. Eastern?
Central,
okay.
Chicago and Texas at the same time.
Yep.
Right on.
That's 6 Eastern, and that's
6
4
Eastern,
4 Pacific time.
and 3 Pacific time. Man, please tune in, man. I think it's gonna be awesome. And this is I recently retired as a sports guy, sports personality talking about sports, and it's because I want to talk to elders and people like what Wilks was just talking about. He told the story of DMX, or one of y'all was told the story of how DMX got hooked on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk to those people too, because people who are addicted to substances are not all just horrible, irresponsible people.
Right.
And we may have some people who have some people in their family, and these stories may help them, or you may have a friend who may just need you to listen. So I want to talk to the people in our community to create a foundation and make our community as strong as possible. So please,
we may need to do a show.
Yep.
We may need to do a show on the Fourcast about addiction, man. We really may need to cover that.
Yes.
That's a great topic to cover.
And real quick, I want to piggyback on what HRap was just saying. He said that he was pretty much a former sports guy, or I don't want to misinterpret what he's saying, but I want to go back, and also this includes you, Ben. I had a customer today that you helped at work, and I'm saying this because I'm trying to get an understanding. You know, it's like it's okay for one group of people, obviously, but it's not okay for the other. Her email was a Jazz fan. She's a Utah Jazz fan. Mm-hmm. And she said, "Oh yeah, I was courtside. I went to all the games. I went to playoffs." And she said something, obviously, which, you know, it just rubbed them the wrong way. And she was like, "Yeah, but when they kneeled, I was done. I was done with the team when they kneeled." I was like,
"Do you know who you're talking to?"
Right. Obviously not.
Because you can hear it in my voice. I know you can.
No, apparently you can't. You had your 9 to 5 voice.
I guess so. I have my bill collector voice on. But so
I've been there. Trust me.
It's just like, how is it okay? Like, you've been duped. You've been duped because they said it was about the flag and it was about the anthem and it was about the military. No, it wasn't.
No,
that's not what it was about. So now you're going into this, you're going into this story about, and she had the nerve to say somebody told her, if you haven't had somebody come home under that flag, then you would not understand why it would be disrespectful. I was like, I'm thinking to myself, but I know this phone call is being recorded, so I got to be cordial. So
I would probably be the one listening to it.
So it's just one of those things where it's like, are you listening to yourself right now? Mm-hmm. Like, it's okay when we dribble the basketball or throw that football, it's okay. But when we have a voice, you don't want to hear that part.
Yeah.
It's like when we want to come forward and say, "Hey, this form of oppression is on my neck." You don't want to hear that. "Oh, go do that over there." But that's all I've ever heard. It's the same reaction. Go do it somewhere else. Then if I go do it somewhere else, then that means it's out of your line of sight, out of mind. When will you care about it? Or do you even care about it?
And you know, HRap, watch how I wrap this back around. See, a lot of folks don't think we reviewing Godzilla versus King Kong yet, but we reviewing Godzilla versus King Kong. What are the similarities? Now think about it. In your show this weekend, you talked about war, right? We at war.
Yeah.
Right? Jawjackers, I believe. Godzilla versus King Kong. One of us Godzilla in this war.
Yeah.
And one of us King Kong. And in that movie, remember how the one that was getting drugged ended up helping you out later?
Right.
What did we talk about on the Jawjackers? How you talk about how we the forgiven, turn the other cheek, we gonna still help you. We breaking the movie down. We just not calling it Godzilla versus King Kong. We calling it black folks versus society.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dawk, come on.
Because why do we keep loving this society if you're not gonna love me back? But that's okay. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to get my reward. I'm going to do my part.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, we hitting it hard. Let me give a shout out to my.
No, let me give a shout out first. I need to give a shout out to Ben and Irene Sutter. That's Mama and Daddy, and I don't want nobody thinking Ben giving the shout out to Mom and Daddy before we do.
Salute.
And I'm gonna admit a mistake too. I thought it said Benadryl or something like that. I didn't know what it said. Ben and Irene. Okay, I got it. Mom and Daddy.
They're one of those people that got the shared Facebook page. You know, some people.
She keeping him in the headlock, saying you on me. You don't get your own page, Ben Senior, Ben the second.
Ben Junior. So my grandmother passed away Mother's Day 2018. Thanks for the shout out. I had to. Man, Dwight Fletcher Senior. Man, this gentleman goes back to my time in California. We went to church together. But this comment, I think our expectation is that the jury will exercise some common sense. That's our hope and expectation. However, we know how this thing can go left.
Exactly.
But one more thing on that, I would like to encourage our community. Seriously, this might be the most beneficial thing that it could happen. In the event that our prediction, me and Wilks' prediction, comes true, you know what will help us more than anything? If we did nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing.
Right.
At that point, the whole world will be waiting on us to explode. We will be like, we just gonna work our asses off now. So if anybody's listening and you're thinking, we're gonna tear this joint up, how about we just work our behinds off and start loving on each other?
Right. And not even act surprised. Not even act surprised at the outcome, because it's been eluded so much and it's been detoured so much. And not even detoured. I mean, it's been bombarded. It's been like covered up and backed up and cemented off and everything. So I mean, it wouldn't be a surprise. It wouldn't be a surprise.
Yep. So as we've been talking tonight, man, we've been hitting it hard, and we went about it a different direction. But Dawk, you're right. We definitely are talking about this movie, Godzilla versus Kong. I was very how do you say, skeptical of wanting to watch this movie. I watched it Sunday. Actually, my wife turned it on, and she was like, because I said this is the one we're going to review coming Monday. We normally sit down and we watch the movie. So she was like, she put it on, and I was like, all right, let's just see what it's about. First off, my man, his name is Tyree. The guy, he was Bernie.
He's in Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta. Let me pull up his exact name. He was like
Tyree Henry.
Yes. I appreciated him in the movie. He had a podcast in the movie, that kind of kicked it off. But for me, I'll say this: I don't think I've ever really watched any of these, to just be honest, because I've never really been into this type of movie. In Godzilla versus Kong, I maybe watched the Godzilla. I really don't remember. So I'm going into this, my perspective, and then I'm going to pass it over to Wilks. My perspective going into this was I'm just going off of what I've heard in different previews that I've seen. I wasn't going to this having any type of prior history. So to me, it was just kind of like a fresh movie. And so it wasn't bad. I'm going to say that. I'm going to just say that. That was my initial thoughts. It was not bad. But Wilks, I'll go to you. Your initial thoughts.
Hold on, Wilks.
Go ahead.
I want to salute Joe, Taryn Rodriguez. You already hit your parents. Dwight, the greatest. 1/4 of the Jawjackers, Rob Orr, he's in the building. And the number one Chief Rocket Jersey Vine, who killed it this morning, he'll be killing it again. Thursday.
Nice.
Definitely.
So I got your Chief Rocker. He said he need one of them shirts. Get HRap your size, man. We'll get you taken care of.
So real quick, to kind of help Ben out a little bit and anybody else, I watched Godzilla growing up as a kid. Like that was the biggest thing after church and on TV. Even the black and white Godzillas that they would show from I think the 50s, but Godzilla was actually a representation supposedly. It was supposed to have been a representation of the United States. They said it was like Godzilla was the United States because they had been this just big, this monster that had been just awoken from the Pearl Harbor attack on the United States. It's also said that Godzilla is a play on nuclear weapons because of the Nagasaki and Hiroshima bombing, is that he's supposed to represent what happens when the world or humans, they get lackadaisical about, nuclear weapons and poison different creatures. But Godzilla to me was he wasn't always a hero. They set him up as an anti-hero, but then I think around 1977, he didn't officially become a hero until then. They dubbed him the King of Monsters, but this movie I wasn't expecting much. I mean, because Godzilla's been done and told so many different times. Yeah. To me, it was just kind of like, oh, okay, well, which way are they going to approach it? To me, I thought Kong was done well in here as far as like, the way they represented him. But I thought it was okay for what the movie was. I didn't try to put too much stock into the movie, given the, as popular as Godzilla and Kong, especially Godzilla, supposedly being bigger than Superman and Batman around that time in 1977. But, that's what it is. I enjoyed it. So it was okay.
Yeah. Dawk?
Yeah. Well, let me just say this first on what Wilks said. Wilks said when society gets lackadaisical about nuclear weapons, it can poison these monsters or these animals or whatever. Yeah. Well, you're looking at an animal that they've been trying to poison since I was born because you're trying to shut my voice down and it ain't working. You understand what I'm saying? Because I got something bigger than what your weapon is that's going to make sure I'm all right.
Exactly.
You feel me?
Yeah. You're right.
I'm like, huh?
Ivan X.
Hey, they better let me stay asleep. Yeah. Don't let me out. Don't let me keep watching Jaw Jackers and start learning something and start talking off of it. Don't do it. Anyway, I was glad when HRap last week brought up Godzilla versus Kong and watching it. I was the opposite of Ben. I was excited. Ben was like, oh man, I don't want to do this. So I was glad because I am a monster movie fan. That's right in the same genre as these karate movies and Bruce Lee movies and stuff. When we was growing up, you catch a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, man, you got some good food, and you watching a karate movie, a Godzilla versus Megadon or somebody like that. Oh, you can't tell me nothing. I'm already done made it to the streets of gold right here on the garden. You hear me? So I was a huge fan of it. Again, Wilk said it best. You don't go into these kind of movies expecting some cinematic masterpiece. But I'm one of these kind of dudes, and I don't take things too deep. However, I recognize the fact that you can get some depth out of anything. See, our source is always communicating with us if we pay attention. You can get a message out of some stuff, right? Just like that little or our ancestors are always talking to us. Hello, HRap. So, you can, if you're paying attention, you can get something meaningful out of whatever you're doing, whatever you're watching, whatever you're listening to, et cetera, et cetera. So again, I thought it was, well done. It ranks fairly highly on the monster movies that I've seen in the past. And again, they got a little too cute with some things and made it a little too complicated, but I understand why they did what they did.
Yeah All right, HRap.
You know what, I'll be honest with y'all, I had to this today. I watched it 3 times and fell on asleep on it 2 times. and when I woke up this morning, I was like, man, this man, I don't watch this mess. I done fell asleep on it twice, right? So I watched it today. I talked to Michelle Saturday. She was like, it was funny. And she was breaking it down. I'm like, and you know what she did? She took me back to what Ivan said. Me and Ivan, and I hate to always make it seem like me and Ivan like 90 years old, but
almost.
Me and Ivan used to live for Saturday morning, or I think it was sometimes they would show them after school, Godzilla versus Gamera, Godzilla and the giant robots. Yeah. We used to live for this. And when she hit me with that info, I was like, yeah. I went into it thinking.
Right.
When I should have went into it, bag of hot popcorn with the cheese popcorn.
Right.
Remember you thought she was big time when you put your Kool-Aid in the refrigerator and let it get a little chill on it.
Yeah.
I went back there and I actually liked it too. But I'm so programmed to what's wrong? And you know what, man?
That's good, man. That's a strong point, man.
And shout out to Twitter, because Twitter took me back to my teenage years too. Yeah. And if it not for those two things, I would have been like, "This stupid. Why they doing that? That ain't real." And all of that, I achieved myself. Yeah. But with that being said, I got a couple conspiracy. Y'all know I'm conspiracy, brother. I'm Dave.
I know. That's why you're part of this.
So good.
Yeah. You know, I got a couple conspiracies down the road, but for this, I liked it, man. It was funny, man. It was pretty dope, man. But people had talked me off the edge because I was like, it was kind of like with the Coming to America. Remember, I said I went into it because I like edgy, and Eddie Murphy was. I'm telling y'all, man, Eddie Murphy was my hero as a little kid. So I'm like edgy Eddie, and then it was like, no edgy. This is Edward. And then I was like,
Eduardo,
man. Dude said he making movies for his kids, and I'm gonna need you to relax. I still didn't like it.
Yeah.
But this one, I was like, yeah, won't they make look? I went real crazy. Won't they make a giant robot movie?
Yeah.
Chris Planet, won't they do that?
It's just like Tarzan. We've been cultural conditioned to believe that this white European has been landed in the middle of Africa in this jungle, talking to the animals. But you got the Negro over here acting like he don't know nothing, and don't know anything. But this intelligent Caucasian person has been dropped in the middle of the jungle to communicate with the animals. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Hey, Wilks, you've been here for 22 years. We've been here for 220,000 years.
Right. Yes.
You know better.
Right.
Okay, man.
Okay, buddy. Sure.
And I'm gonna tell you something too, man. That just hit me, right? So people who may just be learning about the Fourcast, or they see a little promo we sent out or something like that, and I like them brothers. They own some movie review stuff. Okay, a nice light little show or whatnot. Yeah. But if you pay attention, you get some meat out of here. Okay, you get some real stuff, right? We may use a light topic to generate discussion. But for instance, I'll give you what HRap just said, right? HRap just said, I went into it with this way. I almost cheated myself out of something. What are we trying to tell other people that are not like us? We're saying, don't come into us with a predisposed mind. Give us a shot. Come in with a clear. You never know what you're going to get out of it. Don't cheat yourself. Treat yourself.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a shirt. That's a shirt right there.
Yeah,
that's a shirt right there too. Don't cheat yourself. Treat yourself.
Hey man, people our age were saying that long.
Right, that's right. I wasn't gonna tell him that, man. Let me have that one, man.
Let me run with that.
Now, one thing I'll say is I went into this movie thinking this is Godzilla versus Kong. So that's what it's going to be the entire movie. Mm-hmm. But it had pieces in the movie with the little girl that was deaf, able to communicate with Kong, which
hearing impaired. Hearing impaired.
Excuse me.
Can we?
Excuse me. But I went into it thinking it was going to just be the same thing the whole movie. I was like, I know what the ending is going to be. and then it kind of flipped with them two working together. So I appreciated that part of it, because I was, like I said, I was skeptical from the beginning until about the point where Mega, what's it called?
Wilks? Mega Godzilla. That's right.
Mega Godzilla just started coming around. But I wanted to ask the kind of the experts in this realm, was Godzilla always portrayed as the bad guy, or was Kong portrayed as the bad guy?
In the beginning, he was like I said, in the beginning he was portrayed, and I think in one of the decades, maybe the 50s, I think they did portray him as a bad guy. But like I mentioned, toward the 60s or 70s, they had him as an anti-hero. But when you got to 77, I think that's when they made him a complete hero. And even at that time, they were saying that he was bigger than Superman and Batman combined. And I mean, he's got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I mean, he's a big icon. But it's got a lot of backstory. But the one that stood out to me a lot was that the fact that it was based on either the nukes being dropped or it represented the United States. And we know how that goes. I mean, Godzilla being represented in the United States can go a long way, destroying everything in its path. But with no kind of, representation of that, no sorries, no, don't hold your breath. But it's just one of those movies where I just never really put that much, stock into. I just never really put that much value into it. But even though they did have some deep, I guess, forecomings, but again, it's a monster movie. It's Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah.
You can't checking in.
Definitely. Yeah, you can't you're not gonna have a tissue box on a movie like this.
Yeah.
It is what it is when it comes down to that.
Yeah.
Now, so where was this based out of? I don't know, because I don't know if they say a city or
yeah. Well, they changed locations a couple of times.
Yeah.
Like they didn't start out together, but the premise is that Godzilla can cover a great distance in a short period of time, via the ocean and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And they were flying Kong around, basically trying to.
And of course that was symbolic too, but taking him out of his domain, but we'll leave that where it is,
go ahead, let's hit it.
Well, it's like one of those things, you want to take me out of my element where I'm the ruler, I'm the king of this, I know how to operate this, but then you get upset when you drop me in a place that I don't belong and I don't abide by your rules
and try to tell me this is your home. You should love it here.
Right, but that's not how we do it.
You should love this. You should love this cage that you're in.
But yet you don't want to communicate with me on my level, though.
Yeah.
Hey, check this out. I know, I always go here, but Dick Gregory is one of my favorite people in history. He actually, before he transitioned, he used to talk all the time. We follow each other on Twitter. Dick Gregory told me that listening to what you said, it's the first time what he said makes sense. Dick Gregory told me that King Kong is representative of a black man. Mm-hmm. And what you just said made that come home. You take me out of my element. You get mad at me when I respond.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
I mean,
why don't you like it here where we took you from where you were from? Why don't you like it in this controlled area? Why are you upset that you're not around anybody that's like you?
Right. I'm trying to introduce you to a new language. Well, forget your old language.
Wow. And I started off the connection. I was just like, man, I got to figure out what he's talking about. And then, like, shortly thereafter, he transitioned. So it was like, oh well, I'm not. Never know.
Right.
Shout out to Big Illinois here in the building. And we got DJ Ramal in the building. Much love to both of them, and as well as Shaka Strong, if y'all didn't hear me say that.
So Skull Island, let's kind of go back. Was Skull Island destroyed in a previous movie? Was that just assumed in this one?
I guess in Kong, when I guess in the first one, when they went to seek him out, but I think they may have destroyed it, or maybe that's what they did in this movie, but I'm sure it was to a degree. It was. I mean, it wasn't this. I mean, it was, no longer, I guess, pure, if you will. I mean, it's been one of those things where I don't know if they directed it that way, like if they talked about it, but I'm pretty sure they did. I mean, they destroy everything else they touch. So, I mean,
According to Big Illinois, they did destroy Skull Island.
Oh, see?
Yeah. It was kind of like it was assumed that it was destroyed in this movie. It wasn't like anything where they kind of they showed it in the movie, but I'm assuming that it was destroyed.
Right. They started him out in this virtual world.
Right. Yes.
Right. You know.
And then he figured it out, and he was like, "Hold on,
right?
This is a dome that I'm in,
right?
And I'm trying to get out of here." And then
he was turning trees into toothpicks and throwing javelins. You turn them into javelins and throwing them through.
Hey Ben, highlight what Big Illinois just said.
That's what I'm saying. It's just one of those movies you cannot. Godzilla, King Kong. You can, like HRap said last week. You can. It's a senseless movie. You cannot go into it. Just betting all the chips. But there are some underlying. There's some tones there. There's some things you can pick from. There's some meat there. But it's once again the bottom line. I'm going to destroy this building. I hope those people weren't at work because I just threw this.
Right, exactly. They had office chairs moving around, so somebody got.
So it's just one of those movies where I didn't watch Rampage. I think The Rock, that was a video game turned into a movie. I didn't watch Rampage.
No, I refuse. I'm not that.
No, that's very different than the Godzilla.
Right.
It's a word that we used to say when me and Ivan was younger. If it was real bad, man, you.
All right, whose friend is this right here?
Who is this?
Mohammed Hossein.
Hussein, ain't it?
More than likely, if I know him well, like I think I know him, that might be your boy Newport 100.
What's going on? Whoever you are, give this video a thumbs up.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
But hit that subscription bell because we'll be going live every week.
Get you a slice of pound cake on the way out.
Exactly. So we're gonna transition here to a new segment that Wilks is gonna bring to us. We called it the brown liquor segment. We call it the brown liquor roundabout.
There you
go. We remix things, but we're gonna bring it to you.
So don't worry. So and I won't bore you too long with this one. So we're gonna do it a little different. My wife actually mentioned this because we're doing King Kong and we're doing Godzilla versus Kong or whatever. This particular bottle here, if you can see that, I don't know if the cameras can capture that in that light. But
a little bit. There you go.
This is a sake by Geikikon, which is a very big company in sake making. Which there's, from $7 to $100. There's all kind of different brands, but this one was pretty good. I thought it was real nice. It goes well with seafood if you're a seafood lover, if you like oysters, if you like shrimp, things like that. It was one of these brands that when I saw it, I was thinking, sometimes, you can warm them up, you can drink them cold, but on certain brands, like during the winter, they prefer it to be warm. But I think on this particular one, because it's got such of an herbal, floral taste, you don't want to warm it because then you lose that palate or that taste from it. But it's made from a rice wine. They use these big steamers. If anybody has like a rice steamer at home, imagine that about 100 times bigger. And then they press it down and they use other different things. But it's pretty nice. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty nice. I enjoyed that. But next Monday is going to be my big one. But I'm going to save that for next Monday. But the sake, as they say it, but I enjoyed it. It was pretty good.
Hey, ain't no wrong with my sake.
What we need to do, though, we got to hit the button when it's time for the brown liquor roundabout.
Oh, don't worry. Yes, sir.
We gotta have some kind of video to announce it.
Some Willie Hutch or somebody coming in.
We'll get an intro together.
Yeah,
we'll get an intro together. Man, this gentleman right here was on a show where we talked about Deshaun Watson. My Uncle Clinton is on there. He said, hey, let's talk about classics, LA Confidential, The Long Good Friday. Get out, enjoy the conversation.
We can definitely, the LA Confidential for sure.
I'd definitely go back and rewatch that. It's been a minute.
For sure.
It's been a minute since I've seen
Ben,
that.
I don't think you've seen that yet, right?
LA Confidential?
Yeah. Yes.
No.
That's awesome.
Russell Crowe.
I definitely will go back and rewatch that. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Yeah. Muhammad, I got a compilation video of Derek Jackson. So go back and look at that one. But yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
I knew he was a fraud from jump, man.
Oh, come on, man.
From jump.
Hey, why are you doing so many videos from your car? Why are you in your car? You
because he can't be in the house talking about these other women, man. That's why he's in the car.
You doing Uber Eats while you doing videos or something? What you doing?
No, he on his way home from the mother chick's house.
Yeah. He's repeating videos.
He was like, all right, baby, see you later. I'm about to start this live. So going back to the movie, appreciate the segment, Wilks. We'll get a nice intro for that.
Yeah.
But going back to the movie, I thought the characters were put in well. I didn't see like any person was like, oh man, that was a horrible acting job. They all seemed to play their role pretty well. So it wasn't like Coming to America, where it was kind of a consensus that we all didn't like the son.
Right.
But this now when the opening with Brian Tyree Henry of Bernie, which he was like schizophrenic. He was like on speed. It seemed like just the way he was so like intense with this whole thing. But he became kind of vital in the movie. Now, and I seen some people putting posts like it was useless for him, Millie Bobby Brown, and the other guy to be in the movie. But I thought that was an integral piece. I don't know. What would you say, HRap?
I'm one of those people.
Well,
they didn't need those people, man. I mean,
I have to piggyback on that because I feel like they did that because if it's a versus, you had people taking sides, and I think that's why those characters were there. Now they weren't, to me, they maybe they're supporting. I don't know what the case is, but I just felt like even the girl that spoke sign language,
she was dope. I liked her.
Yeah, I felt like they had sides.
I did too.
But I don't know. I think those characters were vital when they needed to be vital. But it was, because honestly, if you just had Godzilla versus Kong and no substance or somebody else there, the movie would have been over in like 45 minutes. Yeah. I think you had those sides, those factions that, we're going to act like we want to get his resources and see what he's about, but then we're just going to end up taking it for ourselves anyway. It's kind of one of those things where I think you had those characters to balance it because you had the Team Godzilla, Team Kong vibe going on, but respect to what HRap was saying. I understand.
Yeah. And go ahead, HRap.
Yeah, I could have done with I'm talking about the fat kid and the girl. They didn't need to be there, man. I was like, I'm like, okay, what are they gonna figure out? I got the brother, the investigative reporter, because who I kind of thought of when I'm watching the brother throughout the movie, how Woody Harrelson usually plays that conspiracy guy. I was like Woody Harrelson, but the white girl and the fat kid, I was like,
okay. Right along.
Yeah, I think the girl was vital, man. That kind of brought that connection to Kong that it seemed like nobody else could have. And I put down in my notes, you always got to use the kid. You always use the kid because, you can communicate. Hold on. Right. Let's use you to say some stuff. And then the mom, I'm assuming that was like maybe her adopted mom because it didn't seem like that thing. Yeah. But she was kind of reluctant. But then she came around and she was like, say this stuff over here to Kong, and then she would come over there and say it, and Kong like kind of confided in her. So I thought that was I like that connection. I thought that kind of made me keep watching to see how that was going to go throughout the movie.
Yeah. See, for me, the characters were vital had they hit the mark they were trying to hit. That's why they don't seem like they were vital, is because they didn't do a good job of the storytelling, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why some folks are like, I don't see what the point was, because they didn't hit the mark. So I don't know if they lost it in editing. I don't know what the case may be, but they just didn't do a good job of storytelling at the end of the day. They were vital, right? Didn't do a good job of, transmitting that to us. Right. Now, one quick comment on Brian Tyree Henry. This cat, okay, so he can sing. I don't know if y'all done pay, we mentioned the fact that he was in Atlanta or whatnot. Yeah. Do yourself a favor and YouTube his We Can Always Come Back to This. He covered that song. We Can Always Come Back to This. And the reason why I got it was on, I think the show This Is Us or whatever, an episode of that, they ended it with some music. And it was him singing that song.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. I did not know that.
Multi-talented. He really is.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
And then what's up with this white girl named Millie Bobby Brown? Is her mama a fan of Millie Jackson and Bobby Brown or somebody? Millie Bobby Brown. Sound like she should have been in the 70s sometime, man.
She took off with Stranger Things, and that's kind of how she blew up. But that name, every time I see it, it's just like
I heard people talking about her, and I looked it up.
Like she talking about some black lady, don't you?
That's exactly. I was like, this can't be her. Who is this? This is a conspiracy. Right. What's going on?
Like some Bobby Brown would name his daughter Millie Bobby Brown.
Right.
That's what it seemed like. Now,
maybe she knew she wasn't gonna be able to sing, so she was like, and she danced. So it was like Millie Vanilli and Bobby Brown.
Maybe. I think her mama did her wrong, though. I'm gonna say that. You don't
name her name.
We have the artist known as Bonita Whitfield.
Sing something.
Can you sing? We need to know if you can sing. Can she sing HRap? I don't know if you know.
Not that I know of.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, you got that name now.
You need to produce or something. You need to help somebody bring an album out.
Yeah. Neo Soul.
Right. Exactly.
She has that type of personality, though.
Got that Michelle Pharrell going on.
I agree with this. The daughter, that she had no point in this movie.
Yeah, I agree with the she fine part. That's what I agree with. Bigger than knowing I was already all on top of that one. Trust me.
Hey, that was your you got one each movie. So,
I don't need a section.
That's your segment right there.
Ladies of the week, ladies of the month.
Yeah. The Jet magazine.
Hey, there you go. It's my Jet Beauty of the Week inside this movie.
Yeah, but I didn't get her point. I think that was pointless. Like I
think they needed to give her more screen time, actually.
Or at least like her following her dad's footsteps and continue, because they just ousted her pretty quick, and then the dad, he had his moment, and they didn't really, touch on that either, really. But I don't know.
Hey, just a little update on the score.
Yeah,
everybody's watching and wanting to know. 67-53. Gonzaga is getting scraped right now. A lot of people had Gonzaga.
Baylor got to restore that rapey attitude.
Oh wow! We got to go there, man.
We got to get that championship and erase that rapey.
That rape murder.
Wow.
Hey, I got some bad news for you, Ivan.
Yeah, what's up?
Millie Bobby Brown is only 17.
Oh yeah, I know.
What?
That ain't the fine one we was talking about though. We were talking about the evil daughter, the one that was trying to get the samples of when they were down at the Earth Core.
She's from Spain.
Yeah,
Oh, he knows. He knows.
I'm booking me a flight after this show. What you talking about?
Now the part that kind of threw me off guard was like King Kong was getting scraped for a minute there. I was like, is this movie should be called Godzilla Kills Kong. That's what it shouldn't be called versus, because he was getting scraped. I was like, come on, I'm not a fan of either one, but I'm like, come on, you gotta come in and do better. You gotta do better.
You notice a couple of people in the comments have been putting Godzilla as the king of all monsters, et cetera, et cetera. That is the theory. That is the theme. That is what the deal is. So there was no way they was going to have Kong come in and win straight up and down. Yeah. You notice in those fights, Kong getting all the help from the planes and, everything like that. Everybody knew Kong couldn't handle him on his own. Let me put it like this. I'm going to say this about Godzilla. The nigga breathe fire. can't let me breathe fire. See, if you think somebody gonna whoop me,
Right?
Yeah. Now, what was the ultra way? Now, okay, this is the part I was trying to understand. Did they both have elements of this same whatever this was called that they was looking for?
Well, it looked like to me what I thought it was. I don't know if it was nuclear or whatever the case was.
Vibranium, man.
Yeah, because vibranium. It looked like a scale. It looked like a scale off of Godzilla because we're forgetting that it looked like it was a race of Kongs, is what it seemed like. They were once a prominent race, but it just I don't know if that was from like a radioactive, like a scale from a Godzilla or something that's what it made it seem. And they made that weapon, and then he would charge it, and then he would use that to destroy Mecha. But I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, did that kind of catch you off guard, or was y'all was expecting that?
I would say it caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting it. I mean, because like I said, you got to add another element there to this movie. It's not rocket science. So you've got to put something there to say, oh, look, here's this element that was prominent with my people, even though we were wiped out by whatever wiped them out. So I think they had to add that. I mean, I think if you did not add that, you would just have another King Kong versus Godzilla versus Kong, or Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah. Anybody else wanted to touch on that point?
Yeah, it was kind of confusing because you would think that again, this hammers home what Ivan was saying. They did in this regard, they did a piss poor job of explaining what was going on.
Right.
You go to the core of Earth and you find one big piece of flesh, and then like Big Illinois just said, where were the other Titans?
That's right.
It's and then y'all blow up Skull Island and everything inverts to the center of the Earth, which is supposed to be magma.
Right.
Come on, man. Look, man, we saw Austin Powers too, so we knew what was in the middle of the Earth.
Yeah, that's the deal being is that they are Titans. So this center of the Earth part is supposed to be where the Titans roamed, and that's where they came from. Initially. So they're, that's why they told them this is your home when they try to get King Kong to go off in there.
Right.
And there may be other family in there. And you can see some of the statues and stuff look like an old Kong and some other stuff, So but it's a good question. Are all the Titans gone now? Right. There was even this stone throne that he sat in. Exactly. Remember?
Yeah. I remember that.
So it's like, okay, where everybody else at? How did they get destroyed? Are they destroyed?
Right. Yeah.
They suck at storytelling.
And it kind of felt like the Brian Tyree, Millie Bobby Brown, and the other person, they were like doing their own thing. Like that could have almost been a separate movie almost. Mm-hmm. And then finally at the end, it kind of like they both like kind of collided. Everybody was all on the same page, but it was almost like they're on a separate like mission. And you're right. If it's somebody that's watching this that doesn't really know, it doesn't give you the full story. Which maybe that wasn't the point. Maybe it was just to kind of piggyback off of prior movies. But throughout it, I'm thinking, okay, the kind of evil genius guy is trying to get them to get this substance that they need, and that's supposed to help everybody. And then obviously it was to create something that was not going to help everybody. So I'm like, what was the point of them trying to get this? That's the part I got to the end, and I'm like, well, like Kong could have just got to his home and it would have been done. Like, because nothing came of the Mega Godzilla. Nothing came of that.
Right. And they made the mistake where they were trying to power it with King Ghidorah's, I guess, mental state or whatever they were, trying to communicate with it. I'm like, didn't you just see what King Ghidorah did in the last movie? Like, Ghidorah was like destroying Godzilla, like literally about to kill him until Mothra came. It was just like one of those things. So you think you can tame it. But once again, that goes back to that human aspect of, thinking you can control something that you don't understand.
Right.
So you just think you can interject yourself onto it and it's going to submit. But that's not how that works.
Yeah. You think you can control. Yeah.
What's that, HRap?
It does in some people's mind.
Right, of course. Thank you, Britton.
and then the people that tried that were so like focused on this mission, they all died. The guy that was controlling Mega Godzilla, he died. The other guy died, and then the daughter died. So now it's like So now they had to team up, and then that's where it's kind of like, okay, it was supposed to be a versus, but then they ended up teaming up together. Yeah. So it kind of brought it full circle, but then it was like none of this had to happen.
And their whole thing was Godzilla was the reason why he was on this rampage, and he was upset. He was only upset when people were trying to challenge his throne, his authority, I'm the king, right? Whether he got, an inkling that with all this nuclear power stuff or whatever, that they're trying to power up this mega Godzilla, or when they were talking about, okay, when they released Kong or they're moving Kong, they're like, well, we can't keep him safe if we're moving him, so they're like, Godzilla can instinctually tell that he's somewhere, right? And so he's like, that's a threat. I got to go deal with this threat, and I won't get into exactly what proves that at the end, toward the end. But it's like he just trying to establish his dominance or remind folks, I'm Godzilla.
Right.
And to piggyback off what Dawk was just saying, there are elements that I've read in past Godzilla movies where it kind of brought this full circle. The reason why they thought Godzilla was going off the Richter and going crazy, well, what it was is Godzilla, that was his way of trying to stop the human race for doing something crazy. It's like you're trying to resurrect something that will destroy this planet, but you think you have the answers and you don't. Now, unfortunately, I cannot, convey these feelings differently. So, yes, I'm upset. Yes, I'm going to destroy this city because I'm trying to find the source of what you're doing and let you know that you're misusing this power that you think you're about to harness.
Do this sound like I can't breathe to you?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you know what's funny? When I was watching this, I kept listening. Well, I wasn't listening to it actually, but I kept hearing Most Def, and he was talking about some of these people walk the earth with a God complex. I kept saying it to myself throughout the whole movie.
Right.
Yeah. And they didn't. Their ultimate plan and goal backfired, and that's always the thing that you create. You expect it to be this thing that you created, and ends up backfiring. Right. And we've seen that happen.
And it seems it never
failed. Oh, my bad.
Right. No. No. Real quick, because I'm gonna catch that for you real quick. It seems like we go through these movies so much where it's the same scenario every time. The human race just thinks they can take something, weaponize it, use it against. Oh well, we need this technology against our enemies, and you end up turning on yourself, or it gets out of control. Now you've put everybody at harm. Speaking of the atomic bomb, I think it was Einstein. I believe Einstein started the idea of a nuclear bomb, but once they saw how destructive it was and what it did to a nation, I would believe, I guess you could say Nagasaki and Hiroshima. After you see the destruction of that, now all of a sudden he's second guessing himself. Well, maybe we don't need nuclear weapons. Well, it's too late now. We got stockpile of weapons.
Yeah.
I mean, you think you can take up now. It's too late. Yeah, you think you can take this power that you don't know about and harness it and use it for good, you say, in defense. But yet when it's turned against you, oh, wait a minute, but that's not right. Oh, well, we shouldn't be doing that. Well, we want to disarm this person. Okay, sure, whatever.
Yeah, it's too late.
Yeah.
Right. You open the box.
Cat is out of the proverbial bag.
Right.
Exactly. Now,
real quick, Ben, and like I tell my son, when you watch these movies, none of these movies are written just because they pull something out of their asses. These movies are written because something has inspired that act.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's why I tell my son every time, it's like movies exist because something inspired that movie. Music exists because something inspired that music.
Right.
Suffering exists because something unfortunately inflicted that suffering. Mm-hmm. It did not just happen.
Right.
Now, and then HRap, we'll go to you. Before I just want to say, when we rewind back to our first show one night in Miami, and the song that that kind of came from that, A Change's Gonna Come. Like, based on the movie, if that conversation didn't happen in that room, that song maybe would have never been created. And that goes back to what Wilks was saying. There's things that happen in order for these movies or these songs to be released. It just doesn't come out of the blue. HRap, you were going to touch on.
Actually, Wilks took me back 30 years. I read this book by this guy. This was like the beginning of my conspiracy theory stage. And this book, and I reference, if you listen to my shows, any of my shows, I've referenced this book hundreds of times. I can't even think of the name of it. It had a dragon with like 8 heads on it and flags of the most powerful nations on the head. This guy predicted debit cards because, hey, Ivan, remember when debit cards weren't debit cards, they just said cash station.
Right, yeah.
He predicted debit cards. This is 1991. He predicted, he said, watch, and this is what Wilks made me think of. He said, watch movies closely. The people who make these movies to desensitize you to what's coming on in the future.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Look, I go see that movie. I literally read the book. It was about this thick. It was about this thick in one sitting. I just started reading at 4:30 and didn't stop reading it till 4:30. And the reason it just always has stuck with me for the last 30 years is because me and Big Illinois come from the same neighborhood. I read that book the next day. Me, my man Brian, and my man Benito, we go to see Total Recall, and the man slide his hand in the thing and the wall open. 6 months later, that's how me and Big Illinois was getting in our building.
Wow.
6 years later, A Long Kiss Goodnight comes out, and the man says, "This is CIA. We lost our funding." And he said, "What are you gonna do? You can't fake." He was like, "You can't fake 3,000 deaths, so we're gonna blame it on the Muslims." 2 years after that, 3,000 people died at the World Trade Center, and they blamed it on the Muslims. That goes right into what Wilks said.
That's what I'm saying. Nothing on this earth is just out of the blue or just so happened. It's either something that has been talked about, it's been hushed, it's been quieted, or it's coming.
Yeah.
Imitation of life.
Right.
Yeah. And now the next thing, which we're already seeing, which me and Wilks seen some of these videos, are these robots that are throwing basketballs, that are jumping on top of boxes.
Yes.
I mean, like we've seen this in numerous movies. Right. I mean, any movie you can think of that's a sci-fi movie, more than likely it's a robot that somebody created, and that robot ended up taking over. That is the next thing, and I don't know how exactly it's going to happen, but there's people they're creating all of this CGI type stuff, and we just think, it's not going to result in anything, and we got control over it, which goes back to the point again. Humans just think we have the power to control things, and we don't.
Right.
Because then it gets out of control.
Well, I remember growing up as a kid. I think this was probably late 80s, maybe early 90s, when cloning was a big issue. You know, when they were talking about when I know this cloning this sheep was a big deal. And I think that was like in the 80s, I think.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and that was a thing now where, you know, they've moved from that to now cryogenics, like freezing a dead person, hopefully to recreate them, reanimate them, bring them back. Yeah. I think there's a famous baseball player that donated.
Ted Williams.
Yeah.
He just froze his head.
Yeah, just the head. That right. So it's one of those things where it's like you're playing this God complex, but what do you do when it turns on you or when it gets out of control? What are you going to do about that? When somebody bigger than you bullies you out of that? It's like, yeah, you think you've got it under control, but somebody's watching. Somebody's going to come take it.
Right. And isn't Walt Disney frozen too?
I think that's what I've heard. I don't know.
You think so?
Yeah, it's just like we just think we can play God.
Like,
somebody take him out of the freezer.
Right. Let him fall out right now.
Right. Exactly.
Sit them on the counter, let them thaw out.
Boston Dynamics is the big robotics company nowadays that's putting that dog out that can, do these things. That's a superhuman, kind of situation.
Yeah. So there was
about this thing on social media where you can take your face and stick it on Ivan's body, and Ivan can, take Ivan's face.
Oh, yeah, deep fake. Yeah, that deep fake.
Somebody gonna go to jail because of that. Believe
that's
that.
Right, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So
there was two, I think, kind of dope moments in this movie. The first one, and we can kind of go around. You guys may agree. But Godzilla, they're battling, all the buildings are getting smashed and everything. And Godzilla just puts his foot on Kong's chest, like, you done? Are you finished or are you done?
Right.
Basically what he was saying without saying any words.
Yeah.
And Kong was like, yeah, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
The other moment was then, and I don't know if you were going to touch on this, Dawk, is when everything's kind of over with. They defeated, Mega Godzilla. They both kind of go their separate ways. It was kind of like a look back, like it's respect. Okay, you go back to your corner, I go back to mine.
Right.
Probably we don't need to see each other again unless something goes down. So I kind of felt like that was kind of cinematic. If you want to say cinematic, those two moments to me were kind of cinematic.
Mm-hmm.
But Wilks, I'll go to you.
Yeah, that one part where he had him down and out pretty much, and I think his shoulder was dislocated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they went like Lethal Weapon on that one, but it's one of those moments where you're just kind of like, okay, you're gonna crush him. He can't get up. The weight of you is just on me, so you're just gonna crush me. Then y'all started screaming at each other, and he started screaming back. It was just one of those moments where I kind of laughed at that, and I'm like, oh my god! But there could be so much other stuff in that. But I just thought it was one of those moments where it's like, okay, you respect my authority, and I respect your authority. We don't have to do this again. We don't have to cross paths. Nobody has to get cut. Nobody has to get hurt.
Right. Nobody got to get hurt. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get them out of here.
Exactly. You got the step, like Martin. You got the step. Go.
Oh, okay. Sidebar, real quick. Did anybody know Martin had a stand-up on Amazon that was released last year?
No.
I did not, and I got Amazon. No,
I was flipping through there, and it said something. It was some Martin special that was like from 2020. Now it didn't have very many stars or thumbs up or whatever they use. But I was like, man, I didn't even know he released anything.
Yeah,
it said 2020. It was some stand up that's on there. I had to go watch it just to make sure it's new and it's not.
Second sidebar. Fernando Tatis leaves the game with a forearm injury.
Oh, that was the same arm he probably signed that contract with.
Yikes!
77-63. It's getting a little bit closer.
Oh man, it's kind of creeping up there.
They got 6 minutes left, so they got a lot.
They've been maintaining it between a 13 and 16-point lead the whole game. So Gonzaga not going away, but 13 seemed like about as close as they've been able to get it.
Yeah.
How much time left?
6 minutes.
6 minutes. Man. 6 minutes. 6 minutes.
Count them down. Count them down. Take me fresh, y'all.
No, when you talked about him putting his foot on his chest, man, that's what I was alluding to earlier. Is that Godzilla proved that I'm not trying to kill you, man. I'm just trying to remind you of who I am, bro. Like, come on, we boys, we both Titans. I'm that dude, so don't trip right now. And that's all that screaming was about. He was like, Kong was saying, nigga, I'm just such an, and Kong said, F you. And Godzilla yelled back at him, and this Kong's yell started getting meeker, more meek, so he's like, all right, man, and he made it. He's like, okay, tap out. I'm on, tap out. And Kong was like, all right, man, you got it,
Me and Ben kind of talked about that in a roundabout way without even talking about it last night. We were on the phone and we were talking about the scripture, love thy enemy. Mm-hmm. When you can win a fight, what it actually means, you can win the fight without killing Kong.
Right.
Oh,
You
definitely.
just let them know I'm on. I don't hate you, Kong, but I'm the man.
Right.
Yeah.
And that may have been the deal with Jawjackers too. Didn't y'all discuss about certain cultures? You know, I think it may have been either the Native Americans or either the African. It was the African culture, right?
The Ashantis, the Ashantis, and the Zulus. Go ahead, finish.
And they'll leave a way for their enemies to escape. When they got the war or battle won, basically, they're going to leave you a way out. You know, we're not trying to destroy your people. We still want you to survive, you know, but we done showed you, hey, that's what the deal is, you know. So, you know, if you want to make it, gone, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like that. I feel like that's been used a lot too in different movies, you know, over time, you know, and in war with nations in different countries. You know, it's like I could wipe you out right now. I could wipe out your armada, but I'm not going to do that. But please understand, if you cross me again, it's not going to go how you think it's going to go.
Yeah, it's going to be some furniture moving around here.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So, you know, when it came down to it, I didn't. Okay, so the Mega Godzilla part, obviously, you know, this is something that they created, and then he starts creeping up behind kind of the evil guy, and then he ends up. I didn't see that part coming. Now, I don't know if y'all seen that part coming or not, but for me, it was like maybe they are gonna try to use this some twisted way to try to fix something. But so
I think they would have.
If it didn't turn on them.
I think it's exactly what you guys were saying. Had they been able to do away with Godzilla, Godzilla is nature.
Right.
So if you get rid of the defense mechanism of the Earth, then we can wreak havoc. I can go to Sutherland land, and I can go to Ivan land, and I can go to Wilks land, and this machine is indestructible. That's the way I take it.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. I think so.
That's a good point.
I mean, like he said, and I think it was early in the movie when they were interviewing him, he said, "Oh, you know, we're going to find a better way for people. We're going to find their salvation." So you trust that with this technology that you're saying, but yeah, eventually you're going to turn around and, like HRap was saying, you're going to unleash it against somebody that you need to check. It's going to be another, you know, Godzilla, I got my foot on your chest situation. But this time I'm not going to let up. I'm just going to wipe you out. I'll make an example. And when I make an example out of you, then we'll see how the rest of them go. Yeah. Yeah, this is how it is. They get power hungry.
And that's you know, that's movie 101. You gotta have a downtime. You gotta have somebody either dying or somebody suffering. And at the end, you got a victory. It's the same thing with Disney movies. If we talk about Walt Disney, every single Disney movie, somebody got to die or somebody died. Even my daughter knows the MO. She's like, somebody just died. I was like, I told you, somebody died every Disney movie.
Disney has no problem killing anybody. They have no problem.
Somebody got to kill you at first. We welcome Black Swan to the show. Thank you, Black Swan.
She always comes in and watches the replay. She caught it live, so we appreciate you coming in and commenting and everything. All right, so any other points anybody wanted to touch on that we didn't touch on that kind of caught your attention, or that was a positive or negative?
No, well, it's not an attention grabber, but just to note that and I don't know if anybody's mentioned that we've referred to her a couple of times, but the hearing impaired girl, I've heard that she is really hearing impaired in real life.
Really?
And if I'm not mistaken, this was her cinematic debut, you know. But yeah, she's really hearing impaired. Yeah.
And the piggyback off of that, I like the point where when she was either walking out to Kong, they silenced everything. So you didn't hear the rain.
That was what's up.
That was beautiful.
That was a good cinematic play for sure.
Yeah, you know, that was her. She was
they took us into her world for a few minutes, basically, is what they were doing.
Like when she touched the ground when he had the heart attack.
Yeah. She was one with Kong. That was the only person. Now maybe the mother was at some point, but she kind of just she let the doctor kind of come in and figure out. So they were all kind of duped at the end of the day. The doctor thought he was helping the bigger, you know, the solve a problem or to help solve something, but he just ended up being duped into the situation. But then the mom ended up getting duped, and then the daughter ended up getting duped too. But she had that relationship with Kong that you could tell that he would really, lean on her, or they had a relationship. So I thought that was good.
Did they even mention like how she could talk to Kong? I don't think they went into that. Well, I know he was
sign language.
Well, I'm saying like how they where they find her to sign with him.
But Kong knew sign language.
Mm-hmm. Right. But they didn't know that.
Yeah, they didn't know that.
Discovered that during the movie, basically.
They didn't figure it out until they were on the boat.
They just thought she just had a connection with him. They didn't know that they were actually communicating that way.
Right. Gotcha. And they were blown away at that point when they figured that part out.
And then they started using them.
Exactly. It was like,
yeah, kind of like they were blown away that I invented most of this shit, but then you just take my credit. Okay.
Because you didn't patent it, we could say we patented it.
Right. It's just like HRap was saying last week, and he mentioned, which forgive me, I can't think of her name now, but she was considered the first Rosa Parks. I made a comment that her dad actually invented dry cleaning. So it's one of those things where you want to put it on somebody else and not give me the credit, but that's okay. It's cool.
Yeah. It's been happening for
you're racist, but you're using one of the things my ancestors invented, but okay.
Right.
Ignorance is bliss.
Right.
Kind of like the remote control, the video game cartridge, the
spark plug, the engine, the stoplight.
Multi-flavor Kool-Aid. We did that too. We put the we were mixing grape and cherry a long time ago. Yep. Y'all wanted to call it Island Twist now.
It ain't jungle juice, baby. It ain't jungle juice.
That's it. All right, so let's get to the mics. How many mics we gonna give it?
You got to remind folks of the mic scale, though.
Okay, so 5. We doing 5 mics, kind of like in the source. Some get 5 mics. That's a classic. Some that gets 4. It's somewhat of a classic, and then 3 is average, and 2 and 1. You get the point. Yeah. So I'm gonna kick it off. I'm gonna say a 3. I think it was in between.
Oh yeah, that's solid.
Yeah, I think it was a solid 3. It caught me off guard with that point, like I said, with the Mecha Godzilla and how that part was introduced. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say that. I'm going to give it a 3. Wilks.
Same. I think it's a solid 3. I don't need to try to polish that up and deliver it. I think it's a solid 3.
Yeah.
3 mics.
All right, Dawk.
Agreed. That's exactly where I was going to be. Is right at a 3, man. I think it was middle of the road. It was entertaining. Again, I said the storytelling wasn't very good, which is why y'all thought the necessity of certain characters wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And I think it was a storytelling, but they did do a few cinematic, nuggets basically where you could tell, oh wow, that was a nice little play. Another one where Kong had the heart attack or whatever, and they put that car on him. And they had that car blow up on his chest, so they did a little revive in that way. Yeah, like, okay, I see you thinking outside the box over here.
Yeah.
I want to add something real quick to that. I noticed something in the movie, which this may be just me, but of course, Orlando, Universal Studios of Orlando, they had a Kong ride all those years.
Oh, yeah, I wrote it, yeah.
Well, there was a part in the movie that they panned across him like that, and I wondered if that was a nod to the Orlando studios. Yeah. I wasn't sure.
Now, you wrote the one that they basically have you riding through the streets of New York in like a subway thing or whatever. Yes. And when you turn the corner, you hear Kong down there. Yeah, that's pretty dope.
Nice. HRap.
I agree with all you guys. I mean, it looks like this is a 3 micer because, like I said, man, I went into it thinking, man, I went to sleep on it, but then, I have to always catch myself is I don't know how to go to bed, right? And then I take naps in the middle of the day, so I'll be up until 11 o'clock tonight, and then like a quarter to 11, I'll turn on the movie and go, oh, this is pretty.
Yeah, that's me.
And I go, man, put sleep on this. So I got to remind myself. But it was a pretty good movie, man. It was a movie, like I said, I kept, I'm glad we do this show because it has allowed me to reprogram myself. Mm-hmm. Because I'm going into movies going, it don't have this, it don't have that. Now you're a critic instead of just enjoying it.
Right.
And then
For what it is.
I got back into my old self, which is I actually used to not like people that go, this part 2 wasn't good as part 3 and part 1 wasn't. I used to be like that. Like I don't like it to this day when Dawk comes out with an album and then he comes out with a second album. Somebody goes, it ain't like the first one. I'm like, that's the point.
That's right.
So I'm glad. Thank you guys for that, man. Because
trust me, and like HRap said, I have to watch myself when I'm watching movies. I was like, oh, so it's convenient that we built ships big enough to hold King Kong. Really?
Right.
Why is this ship not sinking? Like he's on top.
I know exactly.
Like,
he's laying on an indent on the ship.
Yeah, it's like, how is this boat not sinking? Like, how is it not
he's just sitting back like this, like, yeah, I'm just put it with his hands in the water.
Me and my son BJ, we find what we call a cinematic flaw in all the movies.
Right. Yeah.
Society, when they go get the beer, you see the crew on the mirror up there. That's like watching Society.
Yes.
When they go to the cooler to get the beer, look up, you see the Hughes brothers.
Wow.
Me and my son, we are experts at that.
Yeah.
It's one segment when Kong and Godzilla fight, but they're standing up in the ocean.
Oh yeah, I remember that part too. I'm like, hey, that's all
right. But the boat's supposed to be, the ocean is supposed to be so deep.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That was a good point because I seen that part and I was like, are they just that tall to where they there were certain parts that they were under the water too.
Right.
So,
right.
Yes.
It's one of those things. You know, it's kind of reminds me of like Money Talks, where he's pulling up to the house. One side of the car has different wheels, but the other side had hubcaps. I love that stuff. I love it.
We'll be up my son will text me at 3:00 in the morning. Hey, I'm watching this. Oh, he'll send me a text. Watch this. That's the fatal. That's what we call it, the fatal flaw.
I love stuff like that.
It's one or more in every movie.
Yeah, I love stuff.
When they walking away, you see the film crew in the mirror.
Oh my gosh,
that's crazy. And then real quick, HRap, me and my wife are the same way. We put The Office on. That's our show. We put that on basically to sleep. We've seen every episode probably 4 or 5 times.
Fantastic show. I love it.
Classic show. They need to bring it back for a reunion. They got to. I know. Steve Carell. They asked him, and he was like, "You can't do that during this time." Which I know there was a lot of stuff in that show that you cannot. You cannot do that. But you can do one. You can do a 1 hour special.
They need to do a movie.
Oh
yeah, that was.
But
like they did with Breaking Bad. You know,
so whack now, man. I mean, look, man. If you got a funny black joke, crack it, man. White people. Yeah. I'm as pro-black as you get, but if you funny, as long as you're not being disrespectful,
right.
Stuff out, man. Not get your Bill Burr on. Oh, a new person.
Right.
Thank you for supporting the show, Dizzy. But yeah, man. I mean, you can't be gay. You can't crack on gay people. You can't crack on women. You can't crack on black people.
Right.
I'm glad you crack on white people.
If it's funny, it's funny. I agree with you.
Funny, man.
It's funny, it's funny.
Look, man, if you that sensitive, don't ever laugh at anything.
It's official. Baylor is a 2021
first.
NCAA.
This is significant too, right? So think about how stuff lining up. If y'all pay attention to HRap ain't as crazy as y'all think he is.
Thank you.
Okay. So look at here. When he talk about how stuff line up and it's so succinct, so we're talking about this show, right? Think about some of the topics we've gotten into on a movie review of Godzilla and King Kong. How depth, right? Yeah. Well, Baylor winning this title is the first Texas team to win the title since what used to be UTEP, right? Which is called it was Texas Wesleyan.
Now it's UTEP.
Yeah. So that's the first time, and they were the first all black. That was 5 black starters versus 5 white starters, and it was the first time. First time in 55 years or however long it's been since the Texas team has won based on that. You know.
Yeah.
And before the rapey championship memes started, Let me just say congratulations.
Man.
They got a guy. They got a guy on Baylor's team with a mullet. I don't know if y'all seen that.
Yeah,
guy.
I've seen it. It's funny.
like shaved on the side with the mullet.
Funny. Yeah, he embraces it.
Rocketed it.
He said he's crazy.
Hey, Phyllis from Virginia, she in the building. Hit that like button, Swan. Hit that like button, Dizzy. Hit that like button, Phyllis.
Like, subscribe, click that bell so that you can get an immediate alert whenever we go live or whenever anything's live on BS3 Radio. So next week, I think it's a consensus. We're doing Concrete Cowboy. I think HRap, but did you watch it already?
No, I didn't watch it.
No, I just started tonight. I started here.
Hey, that looks like an instant classic.
That's up my alley. Right there,
Yeah,
just
that
simply
was
because
that was awesome. I was looking.
I'm a horse fan. Used to own horses. So
like I was, and of course, Dawk may be aware of it, maybe HRaps too. But like I was telling Ben, like the city of Joppy, where I grew up, kind of down the street from that in the Highland Hills. There was a group of cowboys there that they would have like little rodeos right there off of Old 75, and they would ride up through the neighborhood and ride down the street. So when I saw that immediately, and of course there's a deeper story there, but I'm wondering what else is there under those layers.
I'll give you a piece of it.
Obviously, it looks like a father and son trying to reconnect. But go ahead, HRap.
I'll give you a piece of it. The term cowboy started off with us. That's why they called them cowboys. Remember, they would never call you. You could be 175 years old. You're gonna be boy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The first person that is a cowboy is a black person.
Mm-hmm.
Black or Latino, because you Spanish like that too.
Yeah.
But
there's gonna be a lot of nuggets come out of that movie.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be good.
And it's back in Philly, from what I understand too, right? So that documentary.
It looked like before.
Well, I think it's
Philly, from what I read.
I think it was Philly,
it's loosely based on a group of men that rode horses, something in that area,
and they still legit today.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was based out of Philadelphia community of black cowboys. So that's going to definitely be
I'm checking that out.
Definitely be a solid one.
One of my oldest friends' dad has a horse, James Barnes. I met him in preschool. I met him in Head Start. We're still friends to this day.
Man. All right. So make sure to tune in next week. We'll be talking Concrete Cowboy. Andrea says, yes, I watched that.
Well, she need to be back. She need to be back next week. Come and give us your thoughts on what you thought about it.
Definitely.
Don't tell us nothing yet. Just wait till next week.
But thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. And we appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning in, joining on the chat room, watching, viewing.
And real quick, I will mention next week in my Brown Liquor segment how Louis Vuitton and Moet Hennessy are one company, and they are the largest luxury company in the world.
Wow.
Say that. What's that?
And he just sold half of his liquor to them.
Yes, he did. They have 50% of his champagne company, but they are the largest luxury conglomerate. Louis Vuitton and Moet Hennessy. They all combined like during the late 70s and 80s and so on. But I'll talk about that next week. Brown Liquor segment.
All right.
Are we doing Beauty of the Week for Ivan? I mean, for Dawk?
Yeah, definitely.
We did it. Oh, next week?
Yeah, if it's one in the movie, I don't know.
We'll find one.
It's Philly.
If not,
I'm
gonna still have one right here somewhere.
Yeah, you can have an extra. You know that lady that was standing on the curb that was talking
right. But I was at the gas station this morning.
Yes.
Andrea
says she'll be back next week. All right, we will definitely see you back next week. All right, HRap.
Y'all already know. Dream those dreams and man up and woman up and live those dreams. Because life without dreams flows in black and white, and life with dreams flows in technicolor surround sound. And if I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, get it from God.
Show you right.
Peace. Thank y'all for tuning in tonight.
Right on.
What's up, Big Chris?